one that I am so excited for, like ridiculously excited for actually. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we're doing my anticipated releases for July and August. There is a lot of good books coming out, which is always amazing, just not so amazing for the bank account. However, let's get straight into the list of books that are coming out that I'm excited for, starting off with one that is actually more of a special mention. This book is already available in hardback, however here in the UK I have not been able to find a copy, and so I'm really excited for it to come out in paperback on July 11th, and that is Sirens and Muses by Antonia Angress. And this is one that's kind of like a dark academia-esque book. I say that because we are following these girls that attend this elite art school, and then things get really twisted and toxic from there. So I don't know whether it's going to really fit dark academia exclusively. It has got those academia vibes, and it is that a little bit darker and twisted, so we'll see. I'm not sure if there's any murder or anything that goes on. I don't know if I want to know that, but yeah, getting hold of this hardback has been excruciatingly hard. Like, I've never been able to find a copy, and even when I resort to things like Amazon, I can't find it. It's always not available. However, we have the paperback coming out, and so I'm really hoping that that means we have more availability in England, so fingers crossed for that one. That is more of a special mention, so I'm not going to go into it too much in case you have read it. It's not technically a new release, it's just we're getting the paperback. That being said, we do have The Carnival of Curiosities, and that's out on July 11th, and this is by Amy Gibbs. It said on the tagline that it was for fans of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I love that book so much. It's one of my favourites, so I'm really intrigued to see whether this is going to also have that same vibe, especially because like I love the night circus as well, so I have high hopes for this book. We are set in Victorian London, where travelling sideshows are the very pinnacle of entertainment. There is no more coveted ticket than Ashi and Petura's Carnival of Curiosities. Each performance is a limited engagement, and London's elite boldly dare the dangerous streets of Southwark to witness the carnival's astounding assemble of marvels. So I'm really intrigued to see what is going to happen. It does say it's a gothic tale of jealousy and murder, so I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. I have high expectations for this book, so fingers crossed we're really going to love this one. Then we have St. Ambrose School for Girls, and this is out also on July 11th, and this is by Jessica Ward. Now, when I was first reading the tagline, that's why I was really interested in it. However, upon reading the synopsis, I'm not sure anymore. This is Heathers meets The Secret History, thrilling coming-of-age novel set in a boarding school where the secrets are devastating and deadly. But the synopsis goes in how Sarah has just joined this school and she knows that she doesn't fit in, she's not like other girls, that's what it actually says, and so that's kind of put me off a little bit. And then the queen bee of the school, Greta, singles Sarah out to be bullied, and I don't like that in a book. Like, I really don't like bullying. So I was actually kind of hoping that because it's secret history vibes, apparently, that it would be more of like an elitism little group that then get hyper fixated on a particular subject, and then that leads to murder and stuff. I don't think this book's going to have that, so I feel like it's just been likened to secret history because it's set in an academy and it's a thriller, and not actually because it's going to have anything secret history-esque about it, which is frustrating. So that's why you should always do extra research. But I still want to include it on this list because it might be one that if it's available for Kindle or something like that, then I might pick it up and just have a lighter read, but I don't have as high expectations as I originally did after reading that synopsis. However, we then have Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, and this is out on July 18th, and this is a book I have high expectations for. I'm really excited for this one. So this is Chloe Gong's first adult fantasy. Really excited by that. I know she's done some YA and I know that they've been generally had good reviews. I just haven't picked it up. And this one is inspired by Antony and Cleopatra by Shakespeare. So again, another reason why I want to get this. And then reading the synopsis sounds freaking fantastic. So it's set in this fantasy world where every year thousands in the kingdom of Talon will flock to its capital twin cities, where the palace hosts a set of games for those confident enough in their ability to jump between bodies. Competitors across Sanair will fight to the death to win unimaginable riches. And we've got two perspectives going on. We have Princess Calla lurks in hiding. 5 years ago a massacre killed her parents and left the palace of empty, and she was the one who did it. Before King Cassa's forces in San can catch her, she plans to finish the job and bring down the monarchy, and she's using these games as an opportunity to get to her uncle so that she can kill him. But we also have Anton, and Anton is an exiled aristocrat, and his childhood love has lain in a coma since they were both ousted from the palace, and he's in debt trying to keep her alive, and so he's going to use these games to get the riches to then save her. This is going to be a really good book. I'm really intrigued. I think the cover looks fantastic, and like I say, I have high hopes for this one. It's definitely not what I expected. Like, we've all had that trope of the princess has her family massacred and she's on the run and in hiding, but to have it twisted that she is the one that killed them all, love it. Love that idea so much. So I think it's going to be really, really good. And then we have House of Roots and Ruin. This is out on the 25th of July, and this is by Erin A. Craig. And this is a continuation of House of Salt and Sorrow. Now, House of Salt and Sorrow was a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, but done a lot darker, where the princesses are dying one by one, and a lot of people think that it's just really tragic accidents that are happening. However, one particular daughter does not believe this, and she is adamant to prove that her sisters are being targeted by somebody. The way it all wraps up does leave a couple of questions, but not so much in the way where I think it needed a sequel. So I'm really interested to see whether this is going to be a sequel that I feel like wasn't needed, or whether I'm really going to enjoy it. And the tagline on this book is the only thing I'm going to give you, because it is a sequel. In this haunted manor, or decrepit manor, we have one sister who is still cursed. And we're going to leave it there, because any more will just give away the first book, and I don't want to do that in case you haven't read it. It was a good book. I really enjoyed that first book. It was nice and gothic and I loved it. So it'll be interesting to see how this second book goes. We also have Their Vicious Games, and this is a YA thriller, and this is out on the 25th of July, and this one is by Joelle Wellington, and this is one that I'm intrigued by. One, because it's a YA thriller. I always enjoy a YA thriller. They're books that sometimes I won't ever reread them, but sometimes I love to keep them to be able to reread at a later date, because they're just so easy and fun, and I like it. But this one I am really intrigued by. So we're following Adina, and Adina is a black teen desperate to retain her Ivy League acceptance, and enters an elite competition in order to do so. And this one has been said that it's like a mix of Ace of Spades and Squid Games and The Bachelor, which I've only, out of all of that, watched the Squid Games. I've only watched the Squid Games. I haven't read Ace of Spades. I don't know what The Bachelor is, so it's going to be an interesting time. But just based on the Squid Games, I was really intrigued. And because Adina is black, she knows that she has to work twice as hard to get half as much. So I think there's going to be a lot of criticism on classism, elitism, racism. So I think that's going to be very interesting. She makes one mistake where she gets into one fight and then loses her opportunity to get into any Ivy League school. And so she decides to take part in these games, where it's sponsored by Edgewater's founding family, in which 12 young ambitious girls with exceptional promise can take part in these 3 games, but turns out that they are a lot higher stakes than what she first thought. I think that's going to be an interesting one. I really like the cover, and I'm intrigued by this book, obviously, because that's why it's on this list. We then have one that I am so excited for, like ridiculously excited for actually, and this is Cassill's Servant by Jacqueline Carey. This book is actually kind of a retelling of her trilogy, which is Cashel's Dark. I love this trilogy so much, like to the point where in college I had reread this book so much that my copy had fallen apart and I had to buy myself a new one. I love this series. I never see anyone talking about it. It is political fantasy at its finest. I'm really sorry about the lawnmower that's going on in the background of this video if you can hear it, but it is very heavy with love. Like there is a religion that is love as thou wilt, and you have different parts of the religion that focus in different ways of love being explored, and so it's very intimately explicit. It's one that I just fell in love with for the concept of being able to love as you will, as well as the political alliances and things that go on with this. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So in this one we're following Phaedra, and we see her as she grows up and then gets entangled with all the politics and stuff of Terre d'Ange, which I basically see as France. It's like an alternate history setting. However, Cassil's servant is going to be from Cassil's perspective, and Cassil is somebody that ends up with Phaedra, and we're seeing now this tale from his perspective, and I could not be more excited. I'm so excited. Cassil is someone where his part of the religion is celibacy. It's the one part of the religion that is celibacy and sticks true to that, and that's how they love this particular god. It's very complex, but it's also not, I just don't do a good job of explaining it very well. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I did not think that we'd be going back into this world. There are later trilogies set in this world, but none of them spark the joy that I get from these first 3 books, as I having it retold from Cassil's perspective and seeing all of his childhood, and hopefully we're going to see him going through all his training and everything. I think is going to be fantastic, because this book you do only get the one perspective. They are really long. This is 1,000 pages. Well, okay, no, actually this edition's only 912 pages, but they are long books. I'm so excited. You can guarantee I will be getting that book. Cannot wait. And this book is out the 1st of August, so yeah, very excited. Okay, then on the 8th of August we have Medusa's Sisters by Lauren J.A. Bear, and yeah, okay, I'm only getting this one, I'm only interested in it because it is a Greek myth retelling of Medusa. So we have, even before they were transformed into Gorgons, Medusa and her sisters were unique among immortals. Curious about mortals and their lives, Medusa and her sisters entered the human world in search of a place to belong, yet quickly found themselves at the perilous centre of a dangerous Olympian rivalry and learned too late that a god's love is a violent one. Forgotten by history and diminished by poets, the other 2 Gorgons have never been more than horrifying hags, damned and doomed. But they were sisters first, and their journey from sea-born origins to the outskirts of the Pantheon is a journey that rests hidden underneath their scales. Monsters, but not monstrous, Sathino and Uriel will step into the light for the first time to tell the story of how all 3 sisters lived and were changed by each other. So I think it's going to be really interesting. A lot of the retellings I've read around Medusa focus on Medusa, so having it actually told from her sister's perspective and seeing that, I think is going to be a really good read, really exciting. So we're going to see how that one goes. Then we have another book I'm super excited for, and that's Labyrinth's Heart, and this is out on the 15th of August, and this is by M.A. Carrick. Oh my god, I'm so excited. So this is the 3rd in a trilogy. The first book was The Mask of Mirrors, and I adored this book, so I'm only going to talk about that because obviously this being the 3rd book in a series, don't want to give anything away. We're following our main character, and she is a con artist. She worms her way into the elite of the society, that the world that we're living in order to provide for her sister properly for the first time ever. This meets with a lot of complications. There's also some occult murders. We have tarot magic. It's fantastic. I really loved this book so much. I loved the setting, the world. I loved the way that it was kind of like a Victorian Edwardian type setting, but with this magic of tarot cards, and there's like a vigilante that's going around, and there's so much. I definitely want to be reading the 2nd book and then getting the 3rd book so I can actually finish out this trilogy. Cannot wait for this one. It's going to be so good. Would highly recommend that series if you like that sort of like setting, fantasy magic system. It's a lot more political as well, so yeah, I really recommend. I really like it. And then we have another book by T. Kingfisher. Honestly, T. Kingfisher has been pumping out books lately and I am here for it. So this one is Thornhedge. Fantastic cover, absolutely love it. There's a princess trapped in a tower. This isn't her story. Meet Toadlin. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. Once an adult though, the Fae ask a favour of return to the human world and offer a blessing of protection to a newborn child. Simple, right? But nothing with fairies is ever simple. Centuries later, a knight approaches a towering wall of brambles where the thorns are thick as your arm and sharp as swords. He's heard there's a curse here that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadlin will do anything to uphold. Sounds really good. Sounds so good. It doesn't give much away, but I love the idea that it's inspired by fairies. But yeah, I mean, I love T. Kingfisher's books. I think they're an amazing author. Then we have The House of Odysseus by Claire North. Now, this does say it's book 2, and I think the first book is Ithaca, but this one is following Penelope and what she's having to do in the absence of her husband Odysseus. So he went to war with Troy, so he was there for 10 years, and then he got waylaid on his return journey, delaying him by another 10 years. So he's been 20 years away from home, and Penelope is having to kind of deal with trying to survive everything on her own, maintain everything, while she also has all of these young men that are vying for her hand because they want to become the next king because they assume that Odysseus must be dead. So I'm not sure if Ithaca follows that or whether this is just a second book in a Greek myth retellings that Claire North is doing. I'm not sure on that. Regardless, I do want to get this. I also want to get Ithaca as well, so it's something that I wanted to mention because of Greek mythology, so of course it was going to be on this list. I mean, let's face it, if you have Greek mythology retelling, it's going to be on this list. But I do think it's going to be a really interesting book, and I do like the idea of having a retelling around Penelope. I've read one and I've read another book where she was mentioned in it, and I liked them, but they weren't something that I fell in love with. So I'm really been looking for that one that makes me go, yes, that's the retelling that I wanted. So I'm hoping that Claire North is going to be the author that does that. Then we have Zahara, and this is out on August the 29th, and I'm not gonna lie, this cover, it was beautiful. I added it to the list just because of this cover, but this is by S.J. Jones, and this is the first in a series. Okay, there were two things. Okay, so we have beautiful cover, and then the tagline says Sailor Moon. That was it. Done. I was interested. But we have Sailor Moon meets Cinder. Cinder was a Cinderella retelling that I liked the concept of. I think the covers are absolutely stunning. I gave the book to my sister to read, but I may re-get it because it was a nice simple YA fantasy sci-fi series. Cinderella inspired, and the rest of the books are different retellings. So like Rapunzel is one of them as well. So I am tempted to re-get those books. I might just get the box set though. I think that would work out cheaper and just have the whole series. But this is one that just sounds so good. I mean, it's Sailor Moon. Of course I was gonna get it, of course. But it says, magic flickers, love flames, chaos reigns. Magic is forbidden throughout the Morning Realms. Magicians are called abominations and blamed for the plague of monsters that razed the land 20 years before. Jin Zara already had enough to worry about, appease her stepmother's cruel whims, looking after her blind younger sister and keeping her own magical gifts under control without having to deal with rumours of monsters re-emerging in the marsh. But when a chance encounter with an easily flustered young man named Han brings her into contact with a secret magical liberation organisation called the Guardians of the Dawn, Zara realises that there may be more to these rumours than she thought. It sounds so good. It sounds so good. That cover is, oh my god, beautiful, and hello, Sailor Moon influence. Like, yes please. So I think I'm gonna get this. And then the very last one is Her Radiant Curse, and this is by Elizabeth Lim. Now Elizabeth Lim, I've got two of her books. So I have her Spin the Dawn duology, and I really liked that. Then you had the second one, which was Sick Cranes, something like that, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I am willing to give her another try. And this one, Her Radiant Curse, not sure if it's another duology or not. This one is about sisters. So one sister must fall for the other to rise. Chani was not born a monster, but when her own father offers her in sacrifice to the demon witch, she is forever changed. Cursed with a serpent's face, Chani is the exact opposite of her beautiful sister Vanna, the only person in the village who looks at Chani and doesn't see a monster, the only person she loves and trusts. Now 17, Vanna is to be married off in a vulgar contest that will enrich the coffers of the village leaders. Only Chana, who's had to rely on her strength and cunning all these years, can defend her sister against the cruelest of suitors, but in doing so she becomes the target of his wrath, launching a grisly battle royale, a quest over land and sea, and a romance between sworn enemies. I think it would be an interesting one. This one is weaving together elements of Beauty and the Beast, Helen of Troy, and Asian folklore. So I want to try and give this one a go. Like I say, I'm not sure, but based on the fact that I did like her Spin the Dawn duology, I think there is a high chance that I will like this. They are more like YA fantasy Studio Ghibli vibes. That's what I get from these books, so we'll see. We'll see what I think. But that is everything. So those are all the books that I am excited to read and get in July and August. Let me know if any of these that you are now anticipating, or if there's any others that are coming out in July and August that you're excited for. Let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I think the emoji of the day is going to be a moon because I am so excited about the Sailor Moon inspired book. Of course, oh my god, I think it's going to be fantastic. There are a couple on here which I am so excited to get, and I will be rushing out the minute that they are published because I just think they're going to be so good. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things are super helpful to helping this channel grow. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.